I have just finished reading A Court of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J. Maas, and I just thought to create this video so that I can share my review about the book, about the series, and get to know what you think also. So first and foremost, spoiler warning. So there'll be lots and lots of spoilers in this entire video, so you've been warned. And second, I have unpopular opinion about some parts of this entire series, so please bear with me, and yeah, feel free to share your opinions with me. So yeah, so let's start and delve into the series. Yeah. So yeah, book one, A Court of Thorns and Roses. I actually liked book one of this entire series. So the story here follows our female lead protagonist, Fair, who is a human girl, and she is the sole breadwinner of her family. So her family consists of her widowed father and her two sisters. And I think Sarah J. Maas has done a great job at describing their family dynamics. Actually, she has done a great job at describing every character's dynamic with other characters, also the universe set up at that point in time. She has really given so many details, and the socioeconomic status at that point in time, what caused those, what is the reason why the humans are in the state as they are right now. So, and obviously the other party, the other species apart from humans which are there in this book, so the Fae, why they have that superior status, and how do humans view them. So all this is very nicely described in this entire series, and that's what that's, I think that's the hook of this entire series, because that's what catches your attention, that's what keeps you engrossed in the entire series. So yeah, that's one thing which I really like. I really like the universe which is set up. I enjoyed the concept of this the different courts which are there, the spring court, the autumn court, the day, the night, dawn, summer, and also the villain, and the entire universe is very interesting. And it's good to read a well set universe like this after like reading Harry Potter and all these different fantasy genre books that you have. It's good to read another book series with a nice universe setup. So yeah, I really applaud Sarah J. Maas for that. It's what got me hooked in the story. But yeah, moving on. So yeah, our lead female protagonist. So yes, so her family, despite she being the breadwinner, that she goes and hunts for food and brings them food, they are shown to be very ungrateful towards her, and they also have their reasons for that. So once upon a time, she and her family were super rich, but then because of war and because of different losses that they went through, they are now poor. But and that's why they have that certain rudeness to them, they have certain ungratefulness to them, they have this resentful anger which is shown. So yeah, but yes, what happens next is that she kills a Fae, and she kills a high Fae, and that's why according to a law in their treaty, she has to now go and stay in the spring court, because she killed a member of the spring court. So yeah, that's how the book starts, and I really enjoyed reading this book. One con that I would like to mention here is that like towards the end, the villain poses a riddle to the lead protagonist, to Fair. And the answer to that riddle, if you are an avid fantasy genre reader, you'll get the answer to the riddle within the first two stanzas itself. So the punch which the riddle is supposed to land, it never lands, because you already know the answer. It's very generic, it's very common. So that's why that's one con that I felt while reading this book. But yeah, apart from that, this particular book one is a classic Beauty and the Beast. Until few last chapters, yes, but till then it's a classic Beauty and the Beast, and you'll I think people enjoy reading this book. I think yeah, it's a good one. Now moving on to the next book of the series. Yeah, the next book is A Court of Mist and Fury. I would want you to first note that this book is this large. The first book is around 40 chapters, this is 70 chapters. I felt that some of this, like the length of this book, is slightly unnecessary, because till the first 30-35 chapters, yes, we get to know a lot about the female protagonist and the male protagonist, but some of those parts almost make the book feel like a little bit so slow paced. Because what happens is that I have read 20 chapters, I have read 35 chapters, yet nothing has happened. Okay, nothing which impacts the story has happened. So that's one thing which I felt like was a bit unnecessary, the size of this book. But yeah, overall it's a nice book. I really like Rysand. He is a very green flag, pun intended. Yeah, his dynamic with Fair is also very good. The way she gets to know her powers, explores her powers, that's also great. One thing which I did not like, or it did not settle well with me, was that Tamlin, who was the main lead in the first book, he had suddenly become the villain. Not villain, but they, like, Sarah J. Maas has portrayed him with a negative aura around him, whereas I just feel that the end of book one, it was such a huge trauma for both the female and the then male lead, that they were no longer compatible with each other. It was just as simple as that. But there was no need to make him paint him in a negative image. So yeah, I felt that that was slightly unnecessary, and I felt that that move was done so that people would like Rysand a little bit more, and that just seemed like okay, like the author has the power to do that, but I just felt it was a bit unfair, and it took away from the bond that Rysand and Fair was developing, because it's completely fine for a girl to like leave a relationship because they were no longer compatible with each other. That's it. That was it. Like the first guy was still good, but they were no longer good for each other. They could no longer share with each other. They could no longer talk to each other. So that's why she moved on, which is fine. There was no need for the guy to be this obsessive character, especially when it's a direct contrast to all his qualities which were mentioned in book one. So yeah, that's one thing which did not settle well with me along with the book size. But yeah. So this is book two, A Court of Mist and Fury. Now moving on to the third book, which is A Court of Wings and Ruin. This one I actually enjoyed. So despite it being like 84 chapters, I guess 84 or 85 chapters, each chapter is relevant. I really like the plot line in this entire book. It's very engaging. It keeps you engrossed. The villain is good, like he's really evil. The whole plot line it's very engaging. It keeps you engrossed. I won't give many details from the book, but yeah, overall it's a very thriller. You know, there is suspense going on. You want to know what happens next. There is despite it being so large, book two I felt was slow paced. This one I did not find it to be slow paced. This one was just right. That I wanted to know what's happening next, and I was just like flipping pages, and I was getting to know, oh, okay, this happened, that happened, and every part seemed to be relevant to the story, which is great. Yeah. Again, there are some cons in this book too. So one thing which I felt was a little bit unnecessary was the mate bond between Rysand and Fair, because what happens is that when you introduce a mate bond, you say that things they felt for each other, like the mutual attraction or the soulmate bond that they have is because of the supernatural mate bond which exists in the Fae world. It takes away from the romance. It takes away from the efforts which are needed to be put in a relationship. So basically, you're saying that she is more compatible with Rysand, or Rysand is more compatible with her because they have these feelings for each other. Like, I get it. Like throughout the book, it's there are mentions, where Rysand declares, or I think Fair declares, one of them declares that they would have fallen for the other person irrespective of the mate bond, that they love each other despite the mate bond. But I still feel that the introduction of the mate bond takes away from the romance which is between them. Also, as I mentioned in the last book, Tamlin gets worse and worse as a villain. Third thing which I did not like in this book is the whole theme, right? Like Faye was first, she was dating Tamlin, and then obviously she moved on to Rysand, which is completely fine. But now, due to circumstances and as a strategy, she is pretending that she's again with Tamlin. So she was first. It's a very to and fro kind of thing which is going on, which again I felt was a bit unnecessary. It almost reminds you of of a very like it seems a little bit childish. So yeah, that was one thing which I felt that it was not needed. Like they could have handled it a bit more maturely, or it was not needed for the plot. Like she did not need to. I mean, obviously it was needed for the plot in the sense that Sarah J. Maas must have put some thought into it, the reason why she wanted, and I respect the reason why she wanted it to go the way it went, the way she has written. I respect that, but I just felt that while I was reading it, I just felt that, oh, okay, now when I first read the whole strategy that they decided, I'm like, okay, so book one is about her in Spring Court, book two is about her in Night Court, now she's back to Spring Court. What will be book four again in Night Court? So, it just takes away from the story a little bit. At least it did for me. So, yeah. So that was book three. But yeah, I think I liked the ending. Towards the end, their father also makes an appearance, which again I felt was unnecessary. He dies. Yeah, spoiler alert, but he dies. But it was unnecessary. Like in all the three books, which are so large, his contribution is close to zero, nada. Okay, and suddenly towards the end, he develops this need to help his daughters, and he comes and he sacrifices his life. There is no character development for her father. Like he's an absentee father, and then suddenly he gives his life for his daughter. There is no character development for her dad, and that felt like slightly discontinuous. Like I felt that Sarah J. Maas could have just written a line that her father dies over the sea because he's a merchant. So and people would have accepted it also, because yeah, that kind of absentee father he was. So yeah, I did not like that angle also. But yeah, apart from that, I really liked the plot in this one, because I love the way how Fair's powers were developing, how she uses those powers. I also like that her sister's getting power, and they were actually quite the surprise. I actually loved Nesta in this book, and even Elaine had a very good angle to her powers and her character, everything. That was actually very good. It was very surprising, and it was quite a refresher, because I think in this book it was almost becoming as if Fair can do anything and everything. which is nice. But I think it's even better when your lead characters are a little bit flawed, because you relate to them better. And if you have this golden person who can solve anything and everything without failing ever, it's just like it takes away from the book a little bit. I think it's even more. I think it doesn't take away, but I just feel that it becomes even more interesting when the characters are a bit flawed. They fail sometimes. So just like in book one, it is so beautifully shown that she has some flaws. She carries the guilt that she killed someone, but at the same time, she had that resentment when she killed that Faye. Which led her into this world. So yeah, that was nice in book one. But yeah, by book three, she has become this almighty person. Yeah. Who always knows what's good, what's bad. She has like all these different titles in front of her, curse breaker and everything, rightly deserved, obviously, given her victories over the past. But I just feel that a little bit of flaws would just add more color to the character. Yeah, which was present. And yeah, I think by book three, everything became so magnanimous that somewhere I felt that was missing. But yeah, I hope I'm making sense. Yeah. But yeah, that's book three. Now moving to book four. Okay, throughout this entire video till this point, I've commented on book sizes. Look at this. Book four is just this huge, this small. Yeah. And why wouldn't it be this small? Because I felt that book four is nothing but an extended epilogue for book three. Book three was 84 chapters, and there was no more space to write an epilogue, so that's why we have an extended epilogue, which is book four. I feel that book one to book four could have been a evenly paced, evenly chaptered and nicely paced series of like 5 books featuring Rysint and Fair, and that would have been perfect. Then this wouldn't have been just this small, and those other 2 books wouldn't have been this large. Yeah, the problem with large books, I feel, is that you start reading them, but then if by chance, like book 2, if it's a slow paced book, then you kind of lose interest. And it took me a while to finish book 2. But yeah, book 3 was good, yeah, despite being large. But then again, it's like, how much time do you want to invest in a book? You could invest lots and lots of time in it. I do, but still, it's too much. It's too large. Yeah. Sometimes you get overwhelmed to pick a book just looking at the size of the book. Yeah. I mean, forget judging books by its covers. Yeah. Sometimes I'm very tired and I don't want to pick up a large book. But yeah, that's just me. Sometimes only. But yeah, moving on. So the last published book of ACOTAR series is A Court of Silver Flames. I think thankfully now the lead protagonist has changed. It is no longer Fair. It is Nesta, her sister. And I actually love Nesta. The problem that I had with Fair in book 3 and in book 4, that she's this ultimate character with ultimate person with no flaws and nothing. She's like the perfect hyphy out there. Nesta is not like that. She has her flaws. She has lots and lots of flaws, and she has this whole. And this book is her journey of overcoming those with the help of Cassian, who is our main lead. And I think they have a very good dynamic. There are some really good female friendships in this book, which I absolutely cherished. And yeah, I think overall I like Nesta. She is super powerful. I like the whole concept that she is like now this death's embodiment, and I love her spirit. That she took from the cauldron. So that is something which I absolutely relished in book 3 as well as in book 5. So yeah, I enjoyed this. And yeah, one thing which I think this is a delightful book, but one thing which I would have enjoyed even more was that if Nesta would have accepted the 3 gifts of the 3 objects of death which they gathered or collected. Yeah, I would actually, maybe that's the next book, or maybe it is not, I don't know. But somewhere I have this alternate scenario or alternate universe in my head in where Nesta has become the human queen. So yeah, if I had to write a fan fiction on Nesta, I would make her, I would make her accept the 3 gifts which are there, and then eventually she would go and become a human fey queen. So yeah, because there are no queens, right? The queens are evil. So yeah, that's why she could have become the queen over there, or she could even become the queen of Hyberion, right? I hope I'm pronouncing it well. Wait, I can check right now. Oh, the map in this book is so beautiful. Let me show the map to you. Yeah, let me do that. See, this is so pretty. This is so intricate, and I actually loved it. I have clicked pictures of this map, and I've just kept them like for I think for a week or so. It has been my wallpaper. It has been my phone wallpaper. So yeah, I absolutely love this gorgeous map. You can see it's like so pretty. But yeah, I actually liked it. Yeah, of Hybern. Yeah, she could have been the queen of Hybern. That's also an interesting angle. If I have a fan fiction on Nesta, I would totally make her the queen of some place. She has that. Yeah, and she would totally keep her death powers also, and maybe use them. Yeah, I think she's really cool. I liked her. I liked her character arc also. So yeah, that is the 5 books which of ACOTAR series. Overall, it's a great series. If you want to read it once, it's definitely go for it. But make sure you have lots and lots of time with time so that you can read them leisurely, nicely. You already know my review on how I felt about the books. I think overall I would give this entire series a 6 or 7 on 10. I'm more leaning towards the 6. I know that people really like this book. They are crazy about it, and if you're crazy about Ryzen, makes sense because he's like the greenest flag out there. Yeah. If you're crazy about Fair, also fair enough, pun intended. But yeah, overall I think it's a good series. Like they are making a TV series on this. I guess so. I read some news articles on that. Good. Like I think they are like they want something like Game of Thrones, and it might become something like Game of Thrones also. I think it's a very interesting concept. It's a good book, but as I shared with you, there are some points in the entire plot where I felt that no, this could have been like slightly different, and I would have enjoyed it slightly more. But yeah, that's the book. I think Sarah J. Maas is also writing a 6th book. I don't know whether I'll read it or not. I think the number of chapters in the book will definitely influence my decision to read it. But yeah, I don't know what the story would be, whether it be Elaine's story, because there was not much exploration done for her character, or whether it'll be Nesta's story continued. I'm not sure about that. I think this book, it did not end on a cliffhanger. It was quite a decent end. So not sure what Sarah J. Maas is writing next. But yeah, I think somewhere I'm also, despite me complaining about the book size, I think somewhere I am slightly curious to know what she writes next. So yeah, see you with another set of books. But yeah, this is me for ACOTAR. I wanted to there was so much that I wanted to say about this entire series because I had seen so many reels. I was like, I have to read this, and once I read it, I was like, okay, fine. Like I get the craze, but at the same time, I don't get it also because yeah, it's not like I'm not crazy about it as I've been crazy about Harry Potter or Percy Jackson when I read it like long time ago. Yeah, I don't know, but it's a nice series to give it a read once. Yeah, see you. Bye bye. Like, share, subscribe. I tend to forget saying that, but yeah, do that. I review books. I like reading, and I like sharing my opinion about those said books. So if you want to hear me more, or even if you don't want to hear me more, please like, share, subscribe. It'll just help me. That's why. So yeah, thank you. Bye bye.